Straight up.
Welcome, everybody, to Knights of Prospect. I am Sam Hoare, playing the wonderful Chauncey, a very young wizard. And this is an amazing show where we do a live play right before your very eyes using the Dungeon World system. It's a great fun time. We roll some dice. We do some make-believe. It's completely improvised. And we have some wonderful cast members here to play today. We have Rob Mulligan playing Ronaldo, holding for applause. We have very nice. That was Kaylee Kane as Bill, giving some wonderful applause for herself as well. And Ryan is Gregory Chitbeard, the most interestingly spelt name before your eyes. And of course, the game master controlling everything other than us is John Serpico. Amazing. Thank you for joining us on our adventure today. We're here every Saturday at 8 on the wonderful 2MB Studios. They have lots of other great content. But for now, here is Knights of Prospect.
All right, everybody. You all, Chauncey the wizard, Ronaldo the bard and reluctant heir, Gregory the dwarven warrior, and Vil the ranger and guide, you are all in one place right now. You're all sitting around actually a table together. And here's why. Gregory, you received a letter about a week ago from the Historians Guild of the Dwarven Hegemony. It was very vague, but also very, very official, just festooned with various wax seals and their chains and things on it. There was apparently, or is apparently, going to be some sort of formal meeting with you at a place of your choosing within Tower Town, the city where you all live, on this exact date, today. So, essentially kind of this courier sent you this, and you kind of opened it all up, and the courier waited for your reply before kind of leaving. So the question is, Gregory, where is this location that you chose to have this meeting in Tower Town?
I wanted to be a somewhat public space, as still not sure the nature of the meeting. So I requested the Lion's Head Tavern.
Yeah, so the Lion's Head Tavern, let's just all go around and each give just a sentence about the Lion's Head Tavern. What is it like? What's it mean to you? What's it about?
There is my favorite part by a mile. There is a huge lion's head right over the bar. It's unbelievable. I don't know if it was always just a head or if it came from some kind of giant lion or what, but it's giant. My favorite part about the giant lion head, though, is it has like tiny ears, like way smaller than even like a regular lion has. So I'm like, does that lion, guess it, like, I don't know. It's a weird lion and I'm super into it.
This tavern is it's a bit of a renovated dive. It definitely has the age of an old tavern, but the polish of a new tavern. Whether it's under new management or not, it sort of seems like some of the creaks and cracks that are on the wall are cosmetic and on purpose. But you do know that it is a old building.
Yeah, and I also know that the tavern owner, Graylin, is a real no-nonsense kind of guy and apparently doesn't appreciate animals in his tavern.
Boo.
And he also doesn't like it when you stand up on the table to make announcements.
The ale's good, and the clientele don't seem to make a big deal about seeing a dwarf, which I appreciate, unlike some places. And there's a fair bit of masonry in the corners anyway. It's mostly wood, like any other subpar human construction, but decent stonework in the pillars, so I'll give them that.
Yeah, the Lion's Head Tavern, Gregory, you chose for kind of a wealth of reasons. Obviously, you wanted kind of a public meeting place, and also because it's a place that just feels comfortable. There's exposed stone. There's kind of plenty of age to the place, but also a lot of care. Graylin, Vil, to your point, is very no nonsense, and months ago when you all started kind of frequenting this tavern, Graylin did not appreciate, Vil, any of the things you did or what you were about. Graylin did not appreciate the fact that you insisted Hobie, your duck and best friend, have his own chair. He did not appreciate all the noise you were making, which really is not that much noise.
He also complained of a smell that I allegedly brought in.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
According to Graylin. Allegedly, according to Graylin.
Yeah, I mean, Graylin is one of those folks that is going to serve the food, but doesn't really understand where the food comes from, and so, he has some surprisingly, high and mighty thoughts about what someone coming from the fresh butchering of an elk should smell like. However, Graylin has changed his tune quite a bit over the last few weeks, as in some ways, really all of Tower Town has. You are all, and have been for months now, essentially petitioning to join the famed Knights of Prospect, whose chapter house sits on the hill right outside of town, or rather the city. Tower Town is a big city. And it's kind of one of those, you and everybody else, you and everyone with a strong back and like a glint in their eye wants to join the Knights of Prospect. But the difference between you and all of the other petitioners is that you're actually doing very impressive and noteworthy things to the level of discovering or rediscovering ancient and forbidden magics, publicly turning down grand family fortunes, tracking down people who are lost, getting into scraps with bad folks, all of these things have kind of built, for all of you and your companions, this kind of bubble of respect and reverence. And Graylin, for whatever reluctance he has to let a ranger and her duck have free run of the place, you all called ahead and kind of secured like a big table near the back of the room, and there is an extra stool for Hobie. So even Graylin is kind of starting to drink of the legend of all of you.
I wave my hands and spell out in the air, "We're pretty cool."
Stop
above
that.
The table.
Stop that.
Chauncey, you are perhaps a little more generous with your magic usage than you normally are, which is already pretty generous. Because you are now officially only a few weeks away from the Arcane College, where you go to school as a 11-year-old wizard. The Arcane College's grand, kind of science and magic fair and festival is only a couple of weeks away. Mm-hmm. And so this is, despite the fact that you but recently grew to 50 feet tall and chased down a thief that stole a powerful artifact, the idea of doing well in this science and magic fair is somehow more, I don't want to say more, but somehow as important as the literal life-threatening adventures you've been through. So,
guys, it's not enough. I know you've all seen me do some amazing stuff, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's not enough. You're going to see some stuff. Ronaldo.
Not tonight. Not tonight. Tone it down.
Oh,
tonight.
It's every night. It is weeks away. It is every night is
Chauncey.
Magic practice and magic finding night, baby.
Chauncey, you have to pull it together. Gregory really wants to impress the dwarven incendiary.
The hegemony. Look, we're seeing ambassadors from the hegemony. I don't know what they want, and you know how much that I hate magic?
Gregory.
Well, I've been
Please.
exposed to the surface world. They hate it, and they're going to walk out of here if you throw sparks in their face or whatever it is you do. So knock it off.
Then I'll have to show them something better.
Well, no, Chauncey, this meeting is as important as this Magic and Science Fair to you. This is his Magic and Science Fair.
Wait, give me a second.
It's important that you respect
Yeah.
the dwarves who hate magic. I'm
Gregory,
whispering because I don't know if they're here yet.
Gregory, I will do everything in my power to make this go perfectly for you. If you need anything, say the word.
I don't need anything. I
If
If
need
you
no
need me
magic.
to burn the place down,
I
say the
no,
word.
I do
If
not.
you need to grow 50 feet tall, say the word. Because I understand that now this is the most important thing in the whole world to you.
That would be gravely insulting to ambassadors from the hegemony.
We have to impress the hegemony.
Hegemony.
Enemy.
Hegemony.
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 The dwarf. Just say dwarves.
The
Is
dwarves.
fine.
The dwarves.
We have to impress the dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You all just kind of sit there. These representatives or ambassadors or functionaries or dignitary or whoever they are should be here at kind of the noon bell. And the dwarven hegemony is essentially the grand kind of unified nations of the Dwarven Empire. And, kind of there are dwarven cities really all over the continent, but really the bulk of their population is under the high spine of the Great Central Mountain Range, which is, kind of a week's hard ride to the east on kind of the other side of the Riverlands. You're on the coast, and then if you go inland, you hit these mountains. And so there's it's a kind of the seat of government is under the mountains, but even though kind of dwarves are kind of scattered to the winds, when a dwarven government representative shows up for some reason, it's very important, and they are invariably punctual. That's something about the dwarven kind of the government of the dwarven hegemony that is no small amount of they have no small amount of pride in the fact that they believe the hegemony believes they have the most functional government on the continent.
We value precision in all things.
That they do. And so, the noon bell rang an hour ago, and nobody is here.
Wait a second.
We've waited an hour.
I ordered an ale a little while ago. Sorry, what were you saying? Oh, could I partake, or I can keep waiting?
I mean, it's my ale. I mean, you can have my ale. I could order another ale.
Well,
Gregory,
it might
would
not
it-
come.
Gregory, would it be better for you if Phil had that ale or if Ronaldo had that ale?
I don't care about the ale. Something's wrong. They should have been here. They said noon. It's well past.
Gee.
How long have you been waiting for the ale, Vil? How many minutes?
I don't know. I'm pretty thirsty. Minutes. I've taken like 10 deep breaths, and when I'm
God.
frustrated, I take those 2 times a minute. So at least 5 minutes since I've been waiting for this ale, but probably longer than that because I didn't get frustrated until about halfway through waiting. So if I was taking deep breaths, 1 per minute before that, it could have been
Did
longer.
you do something to anger the barkeep?
Yes.
Oh. Well, then there you go.
What was it?
Like last time or this time when I came
This
in?
time, did you do something?
Yes.
What was it?
Vil!
I stand up from the chair, go up to Phil, and I go, Phil, listen, this is the most important thing in the world. What did you do?
I sent Hobie into the kitchen to fetch more bread.
That's what I thought, and sat down.
Wait, where's Hobie?
Where's the
He's in the
duck?
kitchen fetching more bread.
Yeah, Hobie has yet to return.
Wow, two things are late now, I guess.
Where
Well,
are the
we
other
don't have-
patrons?
Oh, the bar is plenty full. There's a bard that Ronaldo you vaguely know doing some relative. Well, actually, who is this bard? How are they doing?
Oh, I barely know this bard, but he knows me very well. He has tried to have a conversation with me, and I have often just said, "It's so great to see you again." The time that we last time spoke,
Michaelis.
Michaelis, yes,
Yeah.
yes, Michaelis. When we went, I gotta go back to my table.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back to my table. It's so nice to see you. Tell your wife,
Brother, who I live with.
your brother that I also met.
Uh-huh.
Tell him I said, hey. Tell him I said hello. I really gotta go.
Oh,
There's a whole thing happening.
yeah.
Bread is missing and ale. And,
Oh, uh-oh.
yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
You need help?
No,
Is it the quest?
no. Nicalis, it's fine. We got this. We got this.
Okay.
Michaelis.
Michaelis. Well, if
Michaelis,
you need
okay.
me, I'm going to go back on stage because I am in the middle of my set, and I think people are upset I have stopped playing to talk to you.
That's not why they were upset, but that's okay.
Oh.
Yeah. You might want to tune your mandolin. You might.
Yeah, I will after the next two songs.
No.
What a
no.
pleasure.
Okay. Yeah, I love beer.
So yeah, the place is kind of busy with the people you would expect midday. This is a bar that kind of caters to kind of dock workers, artisans. It's kind of in the middle of town and close to the dock. So, Gregory, though, your mind kind of goes to the worst places because in your mind it is literally impossible for a government representative of the Dwarven hegemony to be late. So you start looking around being like, are we in some kind of time warp? Has a wizard's frozen time? Because you can't think of anything else that would cause this. You do hear, all of you, in the kitchen, a loud series of shouts and clatterings of pans. But aside from that, it is a perfectly reasonable day at the Lion's Head.
Gregory, I'm worried. Your
Good luck.
nervousness makes me
Vil,
nervous.
come with me. We're going to
Me-
the kitchen.
You want me to come to the kitchen?
Got
now.
it. You don't want people to notice me.
Okay,
And I
Graylin
can't-
says I bring a smell in there, but I'll come with you.
I'll cast invisibility and follow along.
Oh, what? Where?
So
I'd have to
within
hang out with Michaelis.
seconds, Gregory and Vil get up and leave, and Chauncey just vanishes. Which means that Ronaldo, you are ostensibly sitting alone, which means Michaelis
No.
ends his set early and comes over and starts picking your brain about
really-
how he can be a more famous bard.
I look back as I'm walking and following them and see Ronaldo in this situation, and then I continue to follow Gregory and Vil.
I guess the advice I'd give you is to take every piece of advice with a grain of salt,
I see.
especially
I
this.
see.
And also, you got to learn to read the room.
Uh-huh.
That's a skill you don't have right now.
Really? Well, I think I'm reading you like a book.
Yeah, you're not. I'm a
Oh.
mystery.
Interesting.
Michael. I'm a mystery, Michael.
Gregory, don't worry, I'm here.
What was that?
Vil, it's me.
It's the boy.
I'm here to help.
Just stay out of the way, Chauncey. Vil, into the kitchen. Let's go.
They can't see me.
I always get in
Over
trouble when I
of
go in
note,
my
over
kitchen.
the last several weeks, Chauncey's kind of repertoire of spells has gotten
Out of
more
hand.
out of hand is probably the right term for it, because he's doing pretty wild, powerful stuff. He's kind of literally raining fire on things, and he's playing with how he can look and if he can become invisible. And it's one of those things where you've all noticed that he's spending more and more time with that ancient, scary book of his. And so you don't know if he's spending more time because he's getting more powerful, or if he's getting more powerful because he's spending more time. But in any event, he is still the same Chauncey you know, only now you're pretty sure he could level a town with magic. So, but he's currently invisible and right behind you as you go through kind of the swinging saloon doors into the kitchen where the cook and the cook's assistant are doing their best to continue to churn out meals, even though half the kitchen is barricaded with cutting boards, pots, and pans. And on the other side of the barricade is Hobie sitting atop what could best be described as a throne of bread.
Hobie, you found it.
Hobie the king.
Now let's get you out of there. I'm just gonna lift Hobie up and over, and I'll start gathering the bread in my in my shirt.
Hobie has a whole loaf in his beak, and you kind of tuck in some rolls yourself.
I pick up a loaf of bread and start eating it stealthily. So there's a floating loaf of bread that is kind of vanishing one bite at a time, which if the cook and the cook's assistant weren't so busy trying to, ladle out beef stew with half the square footage they're used to working with, they'd probably be much more alarmed. But So one mystery is solved, that is to say, you know where Hobie is. But the other mystery remains. It's now been about an hour and 15 minutes since the noon bell, which, Gregory, your mind is now racing to the fact, well, maybe the dwarven hegemony and its hundreds of thousands of citizens have been wiped from the earth or something like that. So, yeah, you're kind of pacing and or sitting and or musing and or sweating, wondering where these people are.
Well, let's ask
Graylin
if
my esteemed guests. Thank you for not hopping on the table to call my
Shut
name.
up. Have any dwarves been in
well,
here?
I haven't had any announcements to give, but the night is young.
Shut up, dwarves. Any dwarves come in who are not me?
Who are not you? Well, your friend Girth was in here a couple of days ago.
No, today.
Today. Actually, Girth was in here earlier today as well. He had breakfast.
Not Girth.
He's working on a fence. We actually talked about you. You said you'd help him with your fence, and you're here instead.
Not Girth.
You haven't helped Girth with the fence?
Gregory, you promised.
Not important.
Friends are important.
Later, look. No dwarves in exceptionally fine raiment have come in to your establishment, say, an hour and 16 minutes ago.
No. Girth was wearing his legionary pin, but that's the only dwarven raiments of honor and glory I have seen, unfortunately.
All right.
Now,
you go.
I put you at the biggest table. I assume these are dwarves you are expecting?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me know if you see any.
Perhaps
Sure.
there is another tavern of the same name in this town where we live that we don't know of.
Or maybe something terrible happened.
Humans and their names. Why can't they just number everything? Look, we have to go. Vil, Chauncey, let's go.
Who's Chauncey? There's no one here.
Should I bring my bow?
Yes, and bring your duck.
Marcus, I really need you to learn to read the room, because when people
Door.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where are we heading?
No, you're staying
Am
here.
I a part of your traveling band?
I don't like you. Please go away.
Wow, interesting. I really misread that.
Yeah,
I
you
sneak
did.
behind that bard and give him a wedgie.
Are you still invisible?
Oh, yeah.
The forces beyond his comprehension have given him a wedgie, and Michaelis finally takes the hint and returns to the silent stage,
And
where...
I turn around and go, Michaelis, rule number 2. If someone doesn't like you, you're gonna get a wedgie.
Ah, that's fair. Yeah, fate really caught up with me there. All right, thanks, Ronaldo. You're one of my best friends.
Why does everyone do this?
So all of you, kind of leave the bar. You leave coins for Graylin, and we have a bit of a mystery on our hands. There is a dwarven delegation specifically from the Historians Guild that was supposed to be here today, and they are not. So, someone give me a suggestion about how they might want to unravel this.
Well, if you know what direction they're coming from, Gregory,
East.
perhaps I could
East. They're coming from the east.
Give a
They're
shot
coming
at-
from the hegemony.
tracking them.
Yeah.
Or
What
reverse
do you have to
tracking
go on?
them.
Reverse tracking them. So you would need to find the track and then track them.
No, I'm saying that we could retrace the steps they haven't taken yet.
Do you hear
I-
yourself?
I come back visible and I go, Phil, guess what? I can help track.
Look, let's go to the tower.
And I go ahead and I summon a monster.
No!
This is gonna help, guys. This is gonna help.
What are you doing?
And the
I'm
hell
just
is
gonna
that?
summon a monster to help us track.
Why would that
So
help?
yeah,
He is an agent of chaos.
Chauncey, his regular exuberant self, which, considering he nearly died a couple of weeks ago, is saying something. But yeah, he is pretty confident he can summon some kind of monster now, which none of you have seen. So yeah, you're kind of standing in one of the open courtyards of Tower Town, essentially deciding that you are going to at least abstractly track where these folks have come from. So, Chauncey, you've apparently gotten all the motivation you need for this. So, what do you want to try to summon?
I want to summon some kind of hound that has a very powerful nose for sniffing out powerful beings, such as like a dwarf.
Sure. So, you want to summon essentially a hunting hound. You have an idea in your head about what this hound is. You have seen hunting hounds. In
They're
fact,
mostly nose.
yeah, they're a nose with legs attached. Ronaldo's family has several fine hunting hounds that they go, fowling with. So you definitely can summon a monster. I am going to assume. So we're using kind of powered by the apocalypse rules here. So I'm taking a look. You're probably going to summon one that has particularly strong wisdom, because that's a nose equals wisdom when it comes to dogs. So let's cast the spell. Tell me how you do. On a 10+, it's a full success. 7 to 9 is partial. 6 is a failure.
All right. 8.
Okay. So you, what does it look like? You've for Ronaldo, Vil, and Gregory. They've never seen you summon an animal or summon a beast before. So how does it all go?
All right. Stand back, everybody. This is one of the first times I've ever done this. And I roll my sleeves back up because they fell down a little. Spitting them again. And I go, come on out, Mr. Nose. And I shoot my hands out. And I'd like to summon a beast that is like 90% nose. It has little triangle ears, little tiny eyes, and little feet that seem to almost magically hold up the rest of it, which is nose.
What emerges from kind of this magical cloud of smoke and sparks is what could best be described to you as a horrifying dog homunculus.
Oh my goodness!
I go up and I give it a hug.
It's licking you with a tiny tongue, and it can't really get the tongue past its giant nose, so it's more or less kind of smashing its nose into your face.
Chauncey,
This is cruel. We need to kill it.
disgusting.
I pull out my rapier.
Unnatural as hell.
Whoa! No, Mr. Nose is here to help everybody. Probably.
So here's how this is going to work. For all of the as horrific as this thing is, it is a giant magical dog that has been summoned literally to track stuff.
Huh.
So if anyone wants to roll a discern realities, you get a +1 to the roll because this dog is clearly helping you. And of note, we're going to kind of abstract it out a little bit. It's not like this dog will answer all of your questions or anything, but you and, kind of you working with this dog, plus Vil, who is a legitimate skilled tracker, and Hobie, who is a legitimate skilled tracker, this is going to take kind of several hours and some investigation. But if anyone rolls discern realities, you can kind of ask questions of me, and we can piece together what has happened to the Dwarven delegation.
There you go, Vil.
I would like to first try and speak to this dog.
Yeah. Vil, one thing that's been happening with you lately is, it's maybe a mix of, age or the fact that, your adrenaline has been up pretty close to maximum a lot over these past few months, but kind of your eyes and ears have awoken more to the senses of animals. So you can, in essence, talk to animals. This thing may technically be an animal, so yeah, you can try to talk to it.
Hey, buddy.
Wow, hey.
How you? Okay, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have to
Perfect.
say for now.
This was great.
Great. Hold tight.
Okay.
How'd it
All
go?
What did it say?
Yeah, what did it say? Did it
Where
tell you
are they?
anything useful?
No, not yet. Hold tight, everybody. I'm trying to wrap my head around this because this dog really freaks me out.
As
We
you've
are
been
wasting
talking-
time.
I
It's
would
just
have
a dog. Gregory needs to find this as much
Okay.
as the magic fair.
Okay. I'm going to try and discern realities to try and take a look at find these folks.
Sure. So 2d6 plus wisdom. You're essentially kind of leading a multi-hour investigation here. So
All right. Let's
2d6 plus your wisdom. Tell me what you get.
He
see what
likes
we
you,
can
Vil.
find. All right. We're doing pretty good. 10.
Yeah, that's a full success. So you can ask me 3 questions, and kind of based on what you ask me, we'll also explain how you kind of got this information too.
Okay. How about what should I be on the lookout for?
So what you should be on the lookout for is whatever held up the Dwarven delegation. And the reason why you figured that out is because essentially Ronaldo and Gregory, you kind of tasked them with asking around. There was like you knew because you essentially are reverse engineering the track. Like Gregory, you knew Gregory talked to this courier, and the courier went back, and so you're asking traders along the big main eastern road. And it's like, oh yeah, I was traveling with a group of dwarves and like finery like 5 days ago, and I feel like I got ahead of them. I think they turned off the road. So at some point along the road, they were held up by something.
It's not a good idea to turn off the road, especially if you're not a guide like me. What here is useful?
What here is useful is, as much as you hate to say it, this dog.
The dog.
You have to, essentially, you have to head east, but at some point, you're going to need to trust this dog's nose because, this dog may have, because essentially the trail is cold. They're probably at least a couple of days out of town. So.
And lastly, I get one more. What here is not what it appears to be?
Probably Gregory's read of the situation. You have never probably never seen Gregory as wound as tightly as he is right now.
Typical.
And so, he is thinking the worst possible thoughts here, and you don't think it's that. You think that something held them up east of town. And whatever it is probably worth finding.
Well, we'll head that way then. You know what, Game Master? I think Gregory needs to listen to his intuition more. Maybe we'll pull it out of him someday. What do you think? This dog is going to really help me out, so I hear. So,
you are already my best friends.
Okay, that's a great start. So we're going to head east. I'll show you which direction that is. And then something to smell. Oh, Gregory, do you still have the original invitation they sent you?
Sure.
Could I borrow? Thank you. I'm going to give that to the dog to smell, to pick up the scent of the Harjamininis.
Well, the thing's already lapsed, so it's worthless now.
Every time I look at it, it looks like a dachshund with just a nose for a head.
Just don't look at it.
Guys, Mr. Nose is Mr. Nose, okay?
It's terrible.
You have to be polite. You're his best friends.
Probably orcs.
I go up to Mr. Nose and I just whisper in its ear, "Watch out for enemies, Mr. Nose. Mr. Nose, I have some enemies.
It's
and if we're out on the road, I'm gonna need some help looking out for him. Okay."
I don't know what an enemy is, but you seem concerned.
Thanks, Mr. Nose.
Okay, so Mr. Nose, take a sniff of this.
Look at him go.
Oh, that's unsettling.
Seems like plenty. Seems sufficient.
It sounds like a cave at low tide.
Ugh, get this dog a neti pot. Good Lord.
Gregory, would you like this back?
No.
And so you head east. Ronaldo, Vil, Gregory, Chauncey, Hobie the duck, Mr. Nose, the horrifying dog, and about 15 minutes behind you, Michaelis the bard, who
oh my God! No!
wants to help however he can, but he just so happens to be on a horse and not giving you a hard time.
I don't... Do I give off a friendly appearance, everyone?
Yeah, really, very much.
Really?
I don't know.
No, you're ugly.
I'm a poor
No
judge
one
of
likes you.
character.
Thank you and thank you.
Hobie looks at you with a bit of shock when you say that, Vil.
No, except for you, Hobie. Anyone who has any sense of anything could tell what you're about. Front face forward, am I right, pal?
Hobie, what do you think I should do with Superfan over there?
Oh, he's not going to like that advice, Hobie.
No, fine. I'll let him follow from a distance. It's fine.
It has to be orcs. They must have broken through the east, the Voltavian Pass. They got through, and they...
Gregory!
Guys, it's orcs!
They came into Tulach, and they
Chauncey,
got into the...
don't listen to him. You're getting the kid riled up. Gregory, I want you to do something with me. All right?
I will kill every last orc on this
listen.
planet, I swear to God.
This is step one. Close your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. And now blow like you're blowing on one of those puff flowers.
How can he do that? You told him to close his mouth.
No, after. Then you open. So breathe in through your nose. And now puff flower. Okay, we're getting there. This kind of thing really helps in archery. Before you take your shot, and it really helps you focus.
Yes, and then you kill your opponent from a distance like a coward. Yes, let's go.
Best shot in the Riverlands.
The hours turn to days, and this stretch of the Riverlands is really kind of the breadbasket of the Riverlands. Kind of 2 days ride in, you start hitting the edge of a forest that's called the Silver Kingdom. because within the forest used to be an empire that united most of the Riverlands a few centuries ago. It's full of artifacts, abandoned castles, essentially a lifetime of adventure. But there's a road kind of around the densest part of the forest. And so you're kind of going around it. And so, you're kind of walking through trees. The topography becomes very hilly. There are still towns every few hours.
What's wrong, Shanti?
Guys, I don't like being surrounded by this many trees. Right now.
Right now.
Being surrounded by trees is one of the greatest gifts the earth can give us, Chauncey.
Well, apparently trees can be filled with arrows that aim for your heart. And I cast mirror image on myself.
What?
Yeah, we don't even need to roll for it. Chauncey splits into two perfect copies.
Oh boy.
Mm.
Everyone's having a real anxious week.
This needs to stop.
Yeah, Chauncey's feeling anxious. Gregory is feeling anxious.
It's making me feel kind of anxious.
I take out my book and I hold it in front of me.
Yeah, the book, which, originally all those months ago when you found it, was completely empty and, as most books are, completely silent. Now it is neither. There is a voice in your head sometimes, Chauncey, and you think it's the book. And you're holding this thing, and you feel a sense of, calm is the wrong word, but you're pretty sure the book is reassuring you that constantly using magic to protect yourself is the right idea.
Guys, I'll be okay. Just keep an eye out, and Mr. Nose will keep an eye out. Let's just keep going, okay?
It is actually at that moment that Mr. Nose starts sprinting due north off the road and into kind of the brush that surrounds the forest. You're all on horses, so you're able to keep up. So it's kind of all of you kind of galloping on horseback. Michaelis also galloping 15 minutes behind you. Hobie takes to the air and starts soaring above. And, you after kind of a few minutes of hard ride, you're kind of out of the woods and into kind of the rolling hills of this part of the Riverlands. And Mr. Nose starts barking, and you would expect the bark to be kind of loud and deep, but it's small and kind of yippy because his mouth is about the size of a coin. And so you just essentially hear like yip, 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 kind of over the hill.
Everything about this dog is unsettling, but he's very useful.
And so the dog kind of runs up to the top of a rise, and you all kind of ride up. And you look down, and there's kind of a descent into it's halfway between like a hillside and a cliffside. It's kind of all sheer stone, and kind of nested into it is a cave mouth. And in front of that cave mouth, you can see three dwarves manning what could best be described as hastily built defenses that are kind of blocking the cave mouth. With that, Mr. Nose looks up at all of you and then vanishes in a puff of smoke and sparks.
Oh.
Good. You did well, Mr. Nose.
Thank you! Echoes on the wind, and only Vil can hear it.
I heard a weird yip.
He said, thank you.
Did something kill it?
Gregory, are those them?
They are
Yeah,
dwarves.
They're definitely dwarves. You see, you thought actually, Gregory, for a second there were four dwarves, but as your kind of eyes focus in the far distance, you realize it looks like there was a fourth dwarf because there was essentially a scarecrow kind of covered in like the vestments of a dwarven functionary. And there is and that dwarf that clearly was wearing those is essentially, digging a trench in a tank top. This dwarf is surrounded by two dwarven legionaries and you can see from here, absolutely huge white beards.
Do we see anything that's attacking them?
No, they are. It looks like they're entrenching and building increasingly complicated bulwarks in front of this cave. You observe for kind of an appropriate length of time before eventually you approach. But are there any other things you want to know or observe before you actually say hello to these folks?
Are we close enough that I can tell from the armor what part of the hegemony they're from?
Yeah. There are two wearing full legionary armor, which is, for Chauncey, Ronaldo, and Vil, Gregory wears his legionary breastplate, which as a veteran he has earned the right to do. The two dwarves down there are wearing full suits of armor, which is essentially they're like walking cathedrals.
Wow.
And based on kind of the vestments and the raiments on the scarecrow, the third dwarf working in her shirt sleeves is some kind of mid-ranking dignitary from the Historians Guild. So all of them are kind of just working down there. Gregory, the sense you get is that they've probably been at it for a day or two, because essentially they have watched how they essentially have these kind of like lean-to tent cabins, like two of them with a watchtower on each, both facing the cave. They kind of built like a berm in front of it, and they're digging a trench in front of the berm.
Standard dwarven field dressing. All right. Excellent. Right up to about 100 feet away and dismount. I wouldn't want the horses. It takes a while for a dwarf to get used to a horse.
I'm following
let's
Gregory.
dismount on foot. One of you, please, Chauncey. I told you.
He wants you to get rid
Light
of the
on
mirror
the
image.
magic. No magic.
Okay.
No nose monsters. No second Chauncey.
I wave the mirror image away and follow very closely behind Gregory.
At least two of you were pretty sure the mirror image was Chauncey this whole time. This kid's getting good at magic.
I was really... Here you go, Vil. Here's your copper. You win. I was wrong.
See what I'm talking about, boys? Intuition.
Good job, Phil. Hello.
Hail, Legionary! I am
Hail
Gregory, son of...
Legionary!
Hail, Legionary.
Hello, Legionary.
Gregory, son of Grundley of the Shitbeard.
Chauncey.
The one of the legionaries kind of turns, kind of gives you a salute, and then turns back to face the cave, while the other legionary and the person wearing a tank top kind of walks and closes the distance. The dwarf in the tank top says, hail, I'm Scald Hillbrewer of the Historians Guild, Legionary Blust Tower. That's sternward guarding the cave. You're Greg? Yes. We were coming to see you.
And now I'm coming to see you.
Ah.
I'm sorry to say we had to use some human magic to find you, but found you we have.
Well, we appreciate the help. There were 5 of us. It was me and then 4 Legionary Honor Guard. This is Scald Hillbrewer speaking. She kind of points back towards the east and said, I actually sent the 2 of them out to our nearest redoubt to try to get more legionaries, but they're not back for another couple of days at least. There's an earth elemental in there, and we would be remiss if we let it escape, so we apologize. We, at this point, are now probably 2 days and 3 hours late for our meeting, Legionary.
All is forgiven. I know earth elementals are... Well, we wouldn't want to loose that, even on humans.
We can take care of it. An earth elemental? That sounds great.
Have you seen an earth elemental?
Oh, that's right. Sounds great.
If you get within 20 feet of this thing, it will scald you so badly you won't be able to see anything anymore. These things are a pestilence.
Can scald it first.
You know what it wasn't, and I like kind of eye at Vil and then eye back at Gregory. It wasn't orcs. Just saying, you maybe were overreacting a little bit.
How tall is it?
Fine. It wasn't orcs. These are equally as bad. Maybe worse than orcs.
Okay.
Hillbrewer, the scald that you're talking to, at this point, now that essentially she is talking to you, Gregory, you can tell kind of in her change of demeanor, she feels now clearly underdressed. And so she begins kind of putting back on the badges of her office. And,
she's trying to impress you, Gregory.
The legionary Lust Tower is, for all of you, probably with the exception of elves who live centuries, this is the most overtly old-looking person you have ever seen. Elves don't really ever age, so you've probably seen someone older than Lust Tower. But essentially, Gregory, you know this, and actually all of you will learn soon enough because Lust Tower is going to tell you all of it. He is called a Legionary Honor Guard. Essentially, when legionaries retire, there's mandatory retirement from the Dwarven Legion. And, with Gregory headed out of the mountains. But some dwarves, when they retire from the Legion, take on kind of ceremonial duties. They attach to some of the guilds. They are somewhere between kind of bodyguards and flag bearers and, also brilliant tacticians and all of these things as well. And Lust Tower kind of gives you the rundown, essentially as part of him introducing himself to all of you. He explains the glories that have been heaped upon himself.
Wow.
Before eventually saying, which leads me to this. The Earth Elemental in there, we stopped because we saw it ranging out of this cave, so it's probably freshly sprung from the earth. That's really the only time they are, vulnerable's too strong of a word. It could still level a town, but we have it pinned in here. We made enough noise and we inflicted some degree of wounds to it that it retreated into the cave. But from the sounds of it, it wants to go on another ranging, which is why we're building these defensive bulwarks. We're trying to, the three of us, hold out until we have reinforcements from the Liege.
We could be your reinforcements. I mean, Gregory, the honorable Mr. Shitbeard, is quite the fighter, as I'm sure you are all well aware of. I mean, we tell tales of his heroism in above the surface, which does not often happen for a dwarf.
Ronaldo, roll 2d6 plus wisdom.
Not charisma. 10.
Yeah, this is this wasn't to convince them of anything. This was to observe. Skald Hillbrewer, who is she's currently now like kind of clipping pauldrons on and things like this. Mm-hmm. Was paying incredibly close attention to what you were saying. And, you couldn't help but kind of return the eye contact. And as you kind of talked about, Gregory, what could best be described as a knowing smile crossed your lips.
I mean, and I kind of elbow Gregory. I'm sure Gregory would love to tell you as well all of his exploits, Gregory. Gregory?
Not when there's risk at hand.
Oh, right.
Not necessary.
Well, after the risk, you two could talk about risk together.
Perhaps.
Tell them about me now, Ronaldo.
Oh, Vil, of course. Vil is the best shot in the Riverlands. One of the strongest, most fierce archers I have ever seen can shoot the bell of Tower Town from 300 miles away, which
Hobie begins quacking very, very loudly to get your attention.
And what is an archer without their companion?
Oh,
Hobie?
What is it?
It is at this moment that a boulder, the size of, well, a large dog is hurled out of the cave, and it smashes one of the watchtowers that was just built.
Ah!
Defensive positions.
What? All right. And
What
and
emerges-
Chauncey's great too. All right, let's do this.
What emerges from the cave is you don't know if it has 2 legs and 3 arms or 5 legs, because it's made of an amalgam of stone and dirt and patches of grass, and its eyes are glowing coals. It is the size of a house, and it starts clambering out of the cave, issuing a bellow that shakes the ground under your feet.
Oh.
At this point, you all, Chauncey, Ronaldo, and Bill, are experiencing something that that few humans and elves get to. You have now fallen in with a legionary battle line, and so essentially Gregory and Blustower and Sternward are kind of scattered amongst you with the Scald in the back. She is kind of unlimbering something that looks like 4 crossbows tied together. And so you all realize, you're like, oh goodness, this is happening. And so, this thing is now kind of looming in front of you and starting to take wild swings. It's kind of scrambling up the trench and the berm. Who wants to go first?
I see it, and I see that it's a big monster, and I can look at it and go, fireball!
No, Chauncey!
No.
Fireball it is. 2d6 plus your intelligence to cast fireball.
4, 6!
Okay. You kind of conjure forth this fireball and hurl it. This thing doesn't necessarily dodge it so much as part of its shoulder kind of falls off and is absorbed into its lower arm as the fireball passes by it. Chauncey, you are going to take damage from this thing. 7 damage, to be specific. It kind of, with one of its appendages, kind of sweeps forward, and Chauncey, you are kind of thrown bodily about 10 feet.
Oh, goodness.
Who's next?
I'm fine.
I would like to use my ability Manual of Movement to study how it moves and look for weakness to exploit.
Absolutely. 2d6 plus your wisdom.
4.
Oh, God. Okay. How does
don't
a
know
house move?
What this thing is. I look at my rapier immediately and I just this is not going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you could probably guess is there's probably somewhere on this thing that you can stab it. It is alive, essentially.
I get it back.
You kind of throw it down in disgust. You're like, wait a minute, it isn't it? A spirit inhabits it, and you kind of pick it back up. You're trying to figure out a Rubik's Cube the size of a barn. Gregory or Vil?
I'm going to try to hit it in the eye with an arrow.
All right, so that's going to be a volley, 2d6 plus dexterity.
Can I, before I shoot, I'm going to yell Hobie up and have it fly around its head to distract it, slow it down for a moment.
Sure, go for it.
Ha!
Hobie begins banking and weaving. The thing kind of pauses for a moment and starts swatting its arm or front hoof at it. What'd you get?
9.
Okay.
Hey.
So you do hit it. It's also going to hit you for 7 damage. Which, as a reminder, for all of you and for those watching, what are all of your starting hit points?
14.
16.
16.
18.
Yeah, this thing is, hitting like a cannon. So, Vil, you are kind of hurled back. Actually, in point of fact, you kind of fire an arrow at it. It immediately responds by grabbing kind of a clump of dirt that would be enough for a mid-sized garden and kind of buries you in an avalanche of it. That said, do your damage.
Oh. That would be... Oh, no. A 1.
Oh, no.
Yep. So it does nothing. This thing has natural armor in addition to having far more hit points than all of you, because it is giant and made of stone. So you fire an arrow and it kind of bounces off the center of its head. And that's kind of the last thing you see before you're buried under about 2 feet of dirt, which you are now kind of crawling your way out of. Gregory.
Rash idiots. I asked the captain, have you constructed fail-safe cave-ins?
Yes, to the left there.
This might be the only way. Back up.
And so you all start kind of wheeling backwards as best you can. Chauncey, you're kind of maybe lightly concussed, but you're kind of forming back into battle line.
Yep.
See. So
you all start kind of backing up.
I'm going to try to run over and trip the fail-safe to cave in and hopefully wall this thing off. So except the defy danger.
All right, go for it. So that's going to be... So with defy danger, you can roll with any of your traits because it determines how you're doing it. So are you going to trip this failsafe with pure strength or by getting there fast, or how do you want to do it?
Well, we've already got earth and stone falling after Vil's idiot arrows. Really, arrows. God. So I'd better use strength.
Sure. All right. So defy danger 2d6 plus your strength.
11.
Okay. So the great news is that you do indeed collapse the failsafe on it. It's going to do 3d6 crushing damage to it.
Whoa.
So roll 3d6 crushing damage. Subtract 3 from the roll because of its natural armor.
10 plus 4 minus 3 is 11 again.
11. So you do enough to put any living thing in the hospital to it. Essentially you go and you kind of run up and kind of with your dwarven cestus kind of punch out support stones, and the whole kind of facade of the cliff slides down onto it like a waterfall of stone. And the thing is it's pinned to the ground. 2 of its appendages snap off and kind of break up into soil. The terrifying thing, though, is it is still alive and now starting to emerge from the rubble. However, Chauncey, Ronaldo, and Vil, for your next action, all of you will get a +1 to it because this thing is currently pinned down.
Boy, keep the cave falling.
What?
Cave it in.
Gregory, I have a very serious
down.
question. Gregory, listen, how is this thing? Is this gonna just keep coming? Gregory,
Crush it.
you want
Bring
me
the
to,
wall down.
you want me to crush it?
The stone. Boy.
Okay, and I cast Grow on myself.
Okay, it is time for Forbidden Magics.
I take out my book. Actually, wait. I take out my book and I start conjuring it on myself. And then I look at Gregory and I go, wait, Gregory, you've dealt with these before, right? And I'm holding my book still, open it and touch Gregory's shoulder. And then I start casting Grow on him.
What is this?
No.
No. What?
Okay, roll 2d6. Well, first, tell me how many feet tall you want Gregory to be. Of note, the maximum safe height to be is probably around 13 or 14 feet. Anything taller than that will, well, Chauncey, you've experienced what happens when you grow bigger than that, so.
Gregory, I don't want to hurt your bones. I grow Gregory 14 feet.
Go for it. 2d6 plus intelligence.
13!
Yeah!
I throw the book in front of him, grab both of his shoulders, and go, have fun, buddy!
Gregory, you are growing. You are growing rapidly and mercifully evenly. Your shoulders are getting bigger. Your cestises grow with you. That's the weird thing about magic. And now you are truly enormous. The way
Crush
this is
him.
going to work is you now automatically pass all strength checks you want to make. And if you do damage to it, it will be equivalent to the crushing damage you just wrought on it. So that's going to be 3d6. However, we have, as this is all happening, because this is going to take a couple of seconds, Ronaldo and Vil, you two are up. Ronaldo, what do you want to do?
I want to do two things because Michaelis is probably nearby. Like, Michaelis!
Don't worry, I have him.
No, it's all right. Bardic magic on Gregory, please. I'm going to do the same.
We'll harmonize. You're my best friend.
Sing a different song than what I'm doing.
Yes, I'll come in 2 verses later. This is perfect. Okay,
All right.
so you are going to infuse Gregory with your bardic magics.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so roll for it.
12.
Oh, yes. So you are using your arcane art. Presumably, this is going to give him plus 1d4 to his next damage roll.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give him a lot more d4s, please.
Oh, surely.
I play my mandolin while Michaelis, I assume, sings wildly out of key, but I'm doing my best to really make it, avant-garde in a way that's pleasing.
He is singing it's not so much a love song as it is a chain of really, really spicy limericks. He is not reading the room. However, Gregory,
all right.
and then they laughed together as the neighbors saw them. It's gross.
Why do you think a song about Gregory having sex is helpful?
It's the only song that I could think of when I'm feeling threatened.
That's very bizarre.
I actually kind of like it.
What?
Yeah, Gregory, you are now 14 feet tall and being like you hear music. Maybe for the first time in your life, you hear it deep down into the middle of you.
What?
Vil, what do you want to do?
How is this thing moving? Is it moving towards us? Does it have feet?
Yeah, it's kind of dragging itself along with these kind of stony tentacles.
Okay, I'm gonna take out one of my snares and I'm gonna look up at Gregory and I'm gonna say, "Hey, I'm not a coward." I don't.
Prove it.
You called me that earlier, and it's been hurting my feelings slowly but surely ever since. And it's making me do something impulsive.
Well,
Here
do
I go.
something about it.
I'm gonna run up and I'm gonna try to snare its tentacles.
Awesome. So this is essentially going to kind of pin it fully down in place so that Gregory can get a bonus to hit it.
Yes.
So Vil, that's going to be, let's call it 2d6 plus your dexterity.
12.
Nice. So essentially what happens is, Chauncey, you kind of slap this forbidden growth magic on Gregory. The air then fills with songs of glory and some debauchery, and Gregory is now girded for kind of a single great blow. And this giant elemental starts kind of moving and twisting itself out of the rubble until Vil sprints forward with elven dexterity, kind of wraps one of the Well, actually, Vil, you describe it. What awesome series of maneuvers do you do to pin this thing down?
Well, I run right at where its tentacles are coming forward, and the snare is in like a big circle. I flap out the circle, spread it out, and then with my momentum, I slide in between its tentacles underneath its body, and when it steps in between, I pull it tight and have its tentacles trapped underneath it.
It's now this twisted up giant pile of rock.
Yeah!
Gregory.
Fireworks.
You can deliver one great blow to this thing. It's going to be hack and slash, so it's 2d6 plus your strength, plus 1 for the fact that it is still pinned, and the legionaries are now helping by kind of collapsing in, and also plus 1 for your size. So it's 2d6 plus 4.
Plus my strength.
Yep.
There once was a dwarf named Gregory. He wasn't known for his treachery.
So we have
He had a lot of sex.
14.
And then he punched a rock in the neckery.
Okay, your damage because of all of this is 3d6 plus 1d4 plus 2.
I help.
I need more dice.
Do.
3d6. 1d4. Ah. Plus what?
2 on top of all of it.
11.
Hey!
At this point, I'll narrate it because a lot happens. The Scald Hillbrewer sees all of this happening, and kind of climbs up to one of the watchtowers, and with her rotary crossbow, essentially lays down, distracting and suppressing fire, kind of peppering this thing in the face. It is kind of a twisting mass with Vil kind of corralling it like she's at a rodeo. The legionaries close in from the side and kind of dive on this thing and begin putting like boar spears into it to kind of prop its head up. Gregory, you start kind of running forward with these enormous steps and kind of leap, and with both of your hands kind of smash down on this thing. None of you immediately know what happens because the end result is an enormous explosion of stones and dirt and moss and chunks of cave. But when the dust clears, it is apparent Gregory of the Legion has punched an earth elemental into non-existence.
I send up my unseen servant Blonsey to high-five him.
Blonsey, that's what it was named.
High-five, Gregory!
And this. And this.
Some time passes, a couple of hours, while you all kind of tend to your wounds. Vil, you have a variety of incredibly stinky unguents and salves and balls.
My salves! Everybody, come here!
I didn't get hit. I didn't get hit.
I give
I
Ronaldo a big slab of salve
Yeah,
It's my mouth.
Oh, it smells
for the
like
rubble.
a bog.
for the burns.
Yeah, the irony, of course, is your skin will never be more exfoliated than after this.
Feels
I
so
rub
great,
salve
but smells-
on both my hands, and I clap my hands on both sides of Gregory's face, and I bring it really close to mine, and I say, I am not a coward. Do not make that mistake again.
Are they, what's happening? Are they? I thought
Noted.
That was intense.
that was not what I expected.
I hope Phil never does that to me.
Yeah, Gregory. When all is said and done, there you stood, not just with the Legion, but with your new friends, elves, humans, children, adults, and you stood against one of the great threats of the lands, an honest-to-goodness elemental. And it wasn't just the dwarves. It wasn't just your beloved legion. It was your past and your present fighting together that brought it down. In fact, it is Skuld Hillbrewer that says more or less those same words. She kind of looks at you, Gregory, and says,
I start playing a romantic song.
I put sparkles around his face.
Oh, gross.
What?
Don't mind.
Gregory of the Legion, prospective knight, friend of Tower Town, because of your efforts in the Legion, because of your efforts in the Riverlands, because of the fact that even today, even right now, you left your home to find people you thought were in danger and then save them with your new friends. It gives me tremendous honor to give you a relic weapon of the hegemony.
Oh, whoa.
Takes out this case that's kind of was tucked in under all of her other equipment. She kind of opens up these clasps. The two legionaries each have a key, and they both open it. In this case are the cestus we hope you wear from now until the end of your days.
Whoa.
In them is the spirit of Dulin Dumian, the line breaker. Like you, a dwarf that ventured from home and saved countless humans and elves, and made as much of a name above the mountains as he did below.
Yeah, I actually know that one.
Wear them with honor, legionary.
I shall always Skuld.
Yeah!
I accept this all for the service of dwarvenkind.
Yay!
Do you have a bow in there too?
Or a book?
I'm not
And
gonna ask.
laughter is had by all.
Never mind. Sorry.
And as Gregory, you put these relics on your hands and feel the weight of history in your clenched fists. The first thing you hear is, "Oh, I see. A new friend that I have to train." And we will end it right there.
Whoa!
So
weird.
good work, everybody. A great artifact has passed into the hands of the mighty Gregory.
Wow.
So thank you all very much for saving the Riverlands from the threat of the Earth Elemental. And thank you all of those watching on 2MB Studios Twitch for tuning in. We have been the Knights of Prospect, and we will continue to be the Knights of Prospect every Saturday night at 8 p.m. right here on 2MB Studios. Please be sure to subscribe to 2MB Studios so you can see their entire suite of fantastic comedy. Also, feel free to like us, Knights of Prospect, on Facebook, as well as on YouTube. You can search us easily in both places, so you can keep up with us, as well as see all of our past episodes archived on YouTube. Until next week, everybody, stay adventurous.